Hello my lovely ravens and welcome back to my channel. As you saw from the intro, today I'm going to make the Whomping Willow inside a matchbox. First I'm going to construct my matchbox, and if you would like to make your own, all the details are in the description box below. I am going to make the Whomping Willow itself from pipe cleaners. Joe from Encountered Terrain on Instagram has a little tutorial over there on how to twist these together and then burn them so the plastic melts around the metal wire, and then you have a tree. It is really cool, and I just wanted to try it out, so here we are. It is only a small tree because obviously it needs to fit into a matchbox, but I'm trying to twist the trunk as much as I can. In the end I didn't make it thick enough, but it will work as a Whomping Willow, and then cutting off all the strands that are too long. And then we're going to take it outside. Here it is, all ready to be burned. And this is the little Whomping Willow, and just going at it with a blowtorch. If you do this, please use common sense and be safe, okay? The Whomping Willow was very violent, however the tree could be frozen by pushing a knot on its base. And here we have the little scorched and molten down tree. It is all cooled down now, and I'm ready to paint it. You can just paint this with normal acrylic paint like I'm doing here, and it works out really, really well, I have to say. Then with some faux moss, we're going to add some foliage to this tree. I'm adding Gorilla Wood Glue and then dipping it into the green faux moss I have here. This jar of faux moss, it looks a bit like sponge, and I have not seen it anywhere else but in this store where they sell homewares, and that was quite some time ago. So if someone knows where to find this mossy sponge-like stuff, please let me know. First I want to paint the inside of the matchbox so I know what I'm working with. I went with a grayish, white grayish sky. So just to represent the UK sky, the color it mostly is. And some trees and mountains in the background like you see with the Hogwarts backdrop. I have to say I'm not an expert at this, but I am really, really pleased with how this turned out. So I might have to practice a little bit more in my sketchbook, I think, maybe with some gouache or something like that. And here I'm moving on to a mountain, and the nice thing about acrylics is you can just work over them and keep going over them. You can layer, which makes for a very nice mist-like effect. To darken up the tree, I'm just adding on some darker acrylic paints here. And now I'm getting ready to make the landscaping. So with tinfoil and this painter's tape, I'm going to build up the base layer of my landscaping on this piece of cardstock that fits right into the matchbox. I'm going to start with the left mountain, or hill I should say, and just gluing that on with some Fabri-Tac glue, just the tin foil there, and then covering that up with the painter's tape so I can paint over it. First I'm going to glue the tree into position just so I know where it's going, and I'm not flocking that with grass and terrain stuff. Once the tree is in position and all attached and dry, I can go in with acrylic paints to paint the base layer of the landscaping before I go over with the ground covers like flocking and soil. I decided that the little hill on the right hand side should be a little rock or a rock formation, so that is going to be gray. And of course drying it in between layers with the hairdryer. And this is going to be a stream of some kind. I have this medium that I will use later, that we will see a little bit later, that I will add on top to make it glossy and look like water. And I absolutely love how it turned out. This matchbox, by the way, took me about 2.5 to 3 hours to make. It was so fast. I think the fastest matchbox yet, but I am absolutely super happy with the result. Here I am adding some tiny little rocks to the river side, and this gives it that little bit more of realism, I suppose. Most of the glue I use for the landscaping is Gorilla Wood glue, by the way, and all the supplies or often used supplies can be found in the description box below. This ground cover looks like soil, and this is actually black dried tea, and I love using that as soil for my miniatures. And then of course some green flocking for the grass. This is the water effects medium I was talking about. So this looks a lot like cream. That's the only way I can describe it. And you basically just put it on, spread it, put a little bit of detail in with a toothpick, and let it dry for 24 hours. And then you will have a river. With this 2-part epoxy resin, I am going to sculpt a tiny Fort Anglia. And my apologies, I sculpted this completely out of frame. That's all I can describe of the sculpting process. I sculpted the main part and that was about it. And the main part means I sculpted the main shape and then I sanded it. Once it was cured, I sanded the entire thing down to the shape that I wanted it to be. Because this is an epoxy sculpting resin, you have to wear gloves. I don't like to wear gloves when I'm working with clay, polymer clay, etc. So that didn't help either. And I hardly ever use this stuff. It's like green stuff from Green Stuff World, but in a cheaper version. I found this at Aldi and it works just fine. Anyway, after sanding this entire car into the shape that I wanted it to be, I am now painting it with plain old acrylic paints, craft paints, and well, there's not much I can say really. It's a lot of toothpick painting, and yeah, it's super tiny. But there was just something missing from the scene, and I asked my husband, what should I add here? And he said, well, Fort Anglia would not be out of the question. And I said, okay, let's do that. The tree was planted the same year that Remus Lupin arrived at Hogwarts to disguise the opening to a secret passage from Hogwarts to the Shrieking Shack. Then with some watered down acrylic paints, I am going to age it up a little bit just so we can see all the details in the bonnet and the trunk. And then we're going to place it inside the matchbox. In 1993, Harry's broomstick was destroyed when it fell from the air into the Whomping Willow's branches. There we have it, and let's have a look at the final result. And this is it for the final result. I really like the little Fort Anglia in there, and I think I have a favorite matchbox. All my social media can be found in the description box below, and if you're new here, welcome. Don't forget to hit that subscribe and bell notification button so you don't miss out on any future videos, and of course become part of the Raven family. Thanks so much for watching, stay safe, and I'll see you all in the next one. Bye!